One morning in the Siberian forest, Pavel Ivanov heard a sound that would change his life forever. Following the weak and desperate cry, he found a trembling and abandoned cub, not knowing that this chance encounter would not only transform his destiny, but also the destiny of many others. This is the story of a man, a wolf, and an unbreakable bond that defied all expectations. Suddenly, Pavel heard an unusual noise, a sound that didn't seem to belong in the silent forest landscape. It was a faint, high-pitched sound, a wail that echoed through the trees. Curious, he stopped and listened carefully, trying to identify the direction of the sound. Carefully, he began to follow the noise, avoiding fallen trees and branches. It didn't take long for Pavel to find the source of the sound. To his surprise, a small, trembling, and frightened animal was huddled against a tree. As he got closer, Pavel realized that it was a puppy, appearing to be just a few weeks old. The small animal was curled up, trying to protect itself from the intense cold that dominated the forest. Pavel's heart broke when he saw the abandoned puppy. He couldn't understand how someone could leave such a defenseless being in that condition. The cub had big, bright eyes, full of fear and uncertainty. Pavel knelt down next to the animal and reached out his hand carefully, trying not to scare it. "Hi, little friend," he said softly, trying to convey calm. The cub, initially hesitant, looked at Pavel suspiciously, but did not move away. Without thinking twice, Pavel took the puppy in his arms, trying to warm him with his own hands. The animal was cold to the touch, and Pavel felt the urgency to take it to a warmer place. He adjusted the cub in his coat, holding him tightly to his chest, and began walking quickly back home. The snow was falling more intensely now, and Pavel knew that every second counted to save that little being. Upon arriving home, Pavel ran in and went straight to the living room. He pulled some blankets off the couch and carefully wrapped the cold puppy up. "You'll be fine," he murmured, trying to calm both the animal and himself. After a few minutes of care, the puppy stopped shaking and began to seem more comfortable. Pavel felt enormous relief when he saw that the little one was starting to respond to care. Pavel, who was already deeply attached to the puppy, decided to name him Luka. He knew he couldn't just abandon that animal after everything they had been through together that morning. Luka seemed to understand that he was in good hands, and despite the initial scare, he began to show signs of trust in Pavel. The man made a makeshift bed near the heater and placed Luka there, where he quickly fell asleep, exhausted and warm. In the following days, Pavel took care of Luka with dedication. She fed him, took him to the vet, and made sure he had everything he needed to make a full recovery. With each passing day, the bond between Pavel and Luka grew stronger. The man who had found a little cub in the forest now had a new friend and companion. The beginning of this relationship would mark the beginning of a story full of surprises and challenges. In the weeks that followed, Luka proved to be a loyal and energetic companion. Pavel watched with joy the cub's rapid growth, which turned into a strong and healthy animal. However, as time passed, Pavel began to notice unusual characteristics in his new friend. Luka was growing quickly, and his facial features became clearer, his body more robust. The animal's insatiable hunger also surprised Pavel, who struggled to meet its nutritional needs. Luka always seemed to be hungry, and Pavel noticed that he ate more than the average dog. The meals that were initially sufficient became insufficient, and Pavel often had to offer more food to satisfy Luka's voracious appetite. This sparked Pavel's curiosity about Luka's true identity. He wondered if the puppy could be from a breed he didn't know, or if there was something more about Luka's past that he hadn't yet discovered. Determined to get answers, Pavel began looking for help. He consulted dog-owning friends, showed photos of Luka, and described his eating habits. However, No one could identify Luca's race. Some suggested he could be a mix of several breeds, while others thought he was perhaps an exotic breed. Pavel was not satisfied with these vague answers and decided to look for an animal specialist. He made an appointment with a renowned veterinarian in the city, known for his in-depth knowledge about different species of animals. When he arrived at the office with Luca, the vet was immediately intrigued. Luca didn't look like any ordinary dog he had ever seen. After a series of examinations and observations, the veterinarian revealed a surprising discovery. Luca was not a dog, but a Eurasian gray wolf, one of the largest wolf species in the world. Pavel was shocked to hear this revelation. He had never imagined that the little cub he found in the forest was actually a wolf. Although surprised, Pavel felt that this explained many of the peculiarities he had noticed in Luca. The news that Luca was a wolf brought a mix of emotions. On the one hand, Pavel was fascinated to have such a magnificent animal as a companion. On the other hand, he worried about what this would mean for their future. The discovery that Luca was a wolf quickly spread throughout the community. The local zoo showed great interest in acquiring Luca, arguing that the presence of such a large domesticated wolf would attract many visitors. Pavel, however, was reluctant to hand over Luca, fearing for the animal's well-being. He knew that Luca was happy living with him and feared that life at the zoo might not be suitable for a wolf who had become accustomed to domestic life. Releasing Luca into the wild didn't seem like a viable option either. Luca, raised in a domestic environment, would likely not survive alone and could easily fall into the hands of poachers. Pavel was determined to find a solution that would allow Luca to live a full and safe life. But he knew it would be a challenge to balance the wolf's needs with the demands of society and authorities. As Luca's situation became increasingly known, Pavel faced increasing pressure from local authorities. They argued that it was unsafe to keep a wolf in a residential area, and that it needed to be housed in an appropriate enclosure. Pavel understood his concerns, but he also knew that Luca wasn't just a wild animal to him. Luca was his friend, a companion he had rescued and cared for with so much love and dedication. The authorities gave Pavel an ultimatum. Either he built a suitable enclosure for Luca, or the wolf would be removed and taken to a zoo or wildlife reserve. Pavel, who did not have the financial means to build a suitable enclosure, felt desperate. He knew that separating Luca from him would be devastating for both him and the wolf. Determined not to give up without a fight, Pavel decided to use one last trick up his sleeve: social media. Pavel began sharing Luca's story online. He wrote moving posts about their first meeting, the time they spent together, and the deep bond they had created. He spoke about the injustice of having to be separated from Luca and asked the online community for help in raising funds to build a suitable enclosure. The response was surprising. People from all over the world were touched by Pavel and Luca's story and began to donate. With donations growing rapidly, Pavel was able to raise enough funds to build a large, safe enclosure for Luca. After long negotiations with the authorities, Pavel finally obtained a special license to keep wolves and was allowed to bring Luca back from captivity. The joy of seeing each other again was indescribable. Luca couldn't contain his joy. It was an incredible moment, full of emotion and relief. In his new surroundings, Luca immediately felt more excited and happy. Pavel continued to build more enclosures and began rescuing other wolves in need of a safe home. He created a sanctuary where wolves could live in safety and peace, far from the dangers of poaching and the uncertainties of wildlife. Pavel dedicated himself to learning more about wolves and how to better care for them, creating a space where they could thrive. Pavel and Luca's story has inspired many people around the world. She showed the power of love and determination, and how a strong bond between a human and an animal can overcome even the greatest adversity. In the sanctuary that Pavel created, not only did Luca find a home, but many other wolves also lived in safety, receiving the care they deserved. Pavel became an ardent supporter of wolf conservation and began collaborating with wildlife conservation organizations. He organized educational events to raise awareness about the importance of wolves in ecosystems and the challenges they face in the wild. Furthermore, he used his personal experience to inspire others to get involved in protecting these majestic animals. Pavel's sanctuary grew over the years, attracting volunteers and experts who wanted to help. Each rescued wolf brought with it a unique story of survival and recovery, and Pavel made sure each of them received the care and attention they needed to thrive. Luca, as the first rescue and the heart of the sanctuary, has become a symbol of hope and resilience. Over time, Pavel was able to expand the sanctuary, creating larger, more natural areas for the wolves to explore. He also implemented rehabilitation programs to prepare young, healthy wolves for possible controlled reintegration into the wild, in safe and secure locations. His work did not go unnoticed, and he received recognition from several animal protection and environmental conservation institutions. Pavel and Luca's journey was also documented in a book and a documentary, which captured the depth of their relationship and the transformation of the sanctuary. These productions helped raise more funds and raise awareness of the wolves' cause. Pavel frequently appeared at talks and conferences, sharing his story and inspiring others to take action for animals. Luca, in turn, flourished in his new home. He became a natural leader among the sanctuary's wolves, and his calm, confident demeanor helped reassure new rescues. The bond between Luca and Pavel remained strong, and they spent many hours together, exploring the sanctuary and enjoying each other's company. Luca demonstrated remarkable intelligence and sensitivity, understanding Pavel's commands and emotions in an almost magical way. The sanctuary also became a visiting point for schools and community groups, where people could learn about the importance of wolves and see up close the positive impact that one dedicated person can have on the lives of many animals. Pavel was dedicated to teaching about peaceful coexistence with wildlife, demystifying many of the fears and prejudices associated with wolves. Pavel and Luca's story is a powerful reminder that every action, no matter how small, can make a significant difference. The rescue of a small cub in the Siberian forest triggered a series of events that saved not only Luca, but also many other wolves. Pavel's commitment to Luca's well-being turned into a life mission that has benefited the community and the environment in profound and lasting ways. Today, Pavel's shrine is a beacon of hope and an example of how love, compassion, and determination can transform lives. Luca's legacy lives on not only in the wolves at the sanctuary, but also in the many people who were touched by this incredible story of rescue and redemption. Pavel and Luca's journey continues to inspire and motivate, showing that, with dedication and heart, we can make the world a better place for all creatures.